Good morning. It is a rainy, dreary day here in Indianapolis, but I've got some fun, cheery things to show you. So actually my card it's not a sad card, but it's one of those thinking of you, helping you through a difficult time card. So if you hear the rain in the background when I start stamping, it kind of is the music that goes along with our card today. But before I get to stamping, you know we are in the very final stages of our 2018-2019 Stampin' Up! Catalog. And the very first catalog that I have all of the catalogs. And you know, there was a little stint of time, maybe you don't know, there was a stint of time where Stampin' Up! Did not only what we used to call the mini catalogs, but we had 2 catalogs a year. So I have a stack of catalogs. My very first catalog, I think, was... Let me think. My daughter was born in 1994, so my very first catalog is in 1994, 1995, and I started, the first one I worked with was in, so I have that catalog, but my first one when I was a demonstrator is in 95, 96. So I've been through a lot of catalog changes, and the older you get, the faster it seems the years go. So it seems we just started a new catalog and then it's time for another one. But we're at the end of this one. So this week is my camp, and at camp, always in May, we do a retiring set, last chance set, and I try to get as many products on cards as we can. But these next couple that I'm going to show you today and the next one, and then I have one more project left to do, I'm not only putting retiring things, but then I have a sneak peek on them as well. So get a whole lot of stuff that you need to get now, and then something that you can look forward to getting in June. So today I'm going to use Sitting Pretty, and I love this stamp set, but I'm not going to actually use the stamp set on today's card. I'm going to use the dies that go with it. So I'm going to show you some projects, and you can go back. I think several of these do have a tutorial on YouTube, so you can go back and find it. I love this bench, and we went to Ireland last March 2018, and this bench in red seemed to be everywhere. So we have several pictures. And I'm going to keep this, and you know, one day when I get around to scrapbooking, I've made a couple of scrapbook pages, but this embossed in red looks like the bench. But it's got some great little images. I love this pot. So let me show you some of the actual stamping that I've done with it, since I'm not going to stamp with it today. So like I said, I am fairly certain that most of these are on YouTube with a tutorial, and if you head over to my blog, when I do the blog post, I will go back and see if I can find the tutorials, if they have one on YouTube, and then I will post the links there so you don't have to search. This one I'm 99% certain, because I feel like I made this card, which is a very masculine feel card, and I feel like I did it when the Buffalo Check stamp came out. So this one here uses the bulldog, which my high school mascot was the bulldog, so it's a really nice stamp set to pull out when you need a more masculine card. And then this one is kind of the one that inspired the card that I'm doing today. In fact, we're using the same color scheme. This one does not have designer series paper. I apologize, I have to use my lights because, like I said, it is gray. There's no sun out today. We've had a string of sunny days. Yesterday was in the 80s. But I have to use my lights today, so it gives a little bit of... And here comes the rain again. But this one is stamped underneath with a stamp set that is staying. The leaves are staying, this copper twine is staying, but this wonderful velvet ribbon is leaving. I am using that again today. So this is stamped underneath, and then the vellum's added to the top. So this is kind of where I came up with today's card. So you'll see where I go with it. Always feel free to copy yourself. If you've made a card you've liked in the past, go with it again. So you're going to see how this kind of pulls what we're going to do today. And then the paper that I'm using is retiring, because you know when a new catalog comes out, because so many of the colors leave because of the end colors. So this was this is where I fell in love with the tulle ribbon, and this card has seen better days, because you know when you're a demonstrator they get toted around to 5 million places, but the tulle ribbon always pops back up and it always gets fluffy again. And this is where I came up with doubling it with other ribbons, because I really loved the texture. And this is the Petal Promenade paper. This stamp set's also retiring, and it is beautiful, and the dies that come with it especially beautiful. I love the way that they cut out. And then also with it, And I can't remember if there is a tutorial for that card or if there's one for this display box. But this has the lacy paper, which is retiring. There's some new of the delicate laser cut paper that's coming in the catalog, but we have two that are retiring. And this has the vanilla tool is retiring. So if you want the vanilla, you need to get it, but the white is staying around. So let me show you the paper that we're using, because this Petal Promenade paper is gorgeous, and some of it I just have pieces of because, you know, we're at the end of the catalog, but it has real flowers. This is the piece I'm using today, and I've already got it cut for camp, so I just have little pieces to show you of that. But on one side, it has flowers. This looks like my wedding dress. My wedding flowers, except they were lilies, but it's the color scheme. And then it's got these fun frames that you can stamp on the inside and use dies to cut them out. This was the piece that I almost went with. It has, looks like they're cottage roses. And then again, another sheet of, I don't think I have all 6 patterns either, because, you know, end of catalog. Oh, I guess this is the one that we're using. So this is how much I will have left after camp. But then on the reverse side, they have some really, really pretty, and it's one of the packages. Like, I love this marble because I love the texture of the regular, but, you know, how can you not use that to get a piece of marble? And then again, here's some rose gold crinkle, but then you have to give up your frames. So you might want to get 2 packets of this. And again, I'm not telling you whether or not it's gone, because I looked yesterday and this paper is still there, but by the time I post this and you see it, it could be gone because stuff is selling out. I said the other day that we had lemon lime twist refill, and it's gone. By the time I posted the video, it was gone. So if you see this as of filming time, we still have it, but you never know. And this marble piece here, I just love that. And then this looks like one of our very popular pieces that we had in the past that was a wedding piece. So with weddings and showers and Mother's Day, there are so many occasions coming up where both sides of this paper are super, super useful. And then here is some of our laser cut paper. This is the one that is in the current occasions catalog, and so many people have missed it. On one side, it is Blushing Bride. I don't have the, maybe I have the container for it. You know, you slide it out. It's hard to slide back in, and I'll show you on my other one. No, I don't have it. But then on the other side, it is vanilla, white. So it's, I'm not using this package, but it's pretty much the same. They're different laser cuts. So you get a 12 by 12 piece, and then you get these little pieces here that you can cut apart. And I'm using the one from the annual catalog, which is also retiring. These are fabulous, 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 fabulous. And if you are in a hurry and you forgot you needed a wedding card or a more fancy project, you smack one of these like we're going to do today on this card, and it looks like you have taken a ton of time to make your project, and it just really makes them look great. Here's how I do them. You just put them in your, I have a guillotine cutter, but it also works in like the paper trimmer that Stampin' a Pad, or any of the, like even the old one that we had before. We've had several versions of paper cutters in my time, and the new one that we're coming out with, I'm sure. But you could even lay these like over the top of those little frames that I just showed you. But here's what I did, and I will keep these until I've used them all up in forever time. So when it comes with the tissue paper, and then you can see I have just trimmed them all down. It's better to do it all at once when you get them, because they do stick on themselves, because they're really fine. So I just trim them all down when I get the package, and then I just lay them back in carefully and just fold several of them in on themselves, and then just fold the tissue back, and then I slid them all back inside the paper. And then these are the ones that we'll be using at camp. And if you're a demonstrator then and you have an event, you just go over and pull out the ones you need, and they're already pre-cut, which is nice. But if you're just using them for your personal use, you just go over and get the ones that you need. So this is the one that we're using today. I think I've already pulled one out. Let me check. Yep. And then you just, I just keep them. I have a large Ziploc bag. And And this is actually, I was reading the label to see what it was. These are from the pocket protectors. So if you do any of the memory keeping stuff with Stampin' Up, the pocket protectors, because they are 12 by 12, the wrappers that they come in have to be larger than 12 by 12. So every time I buy the pocket protectors, I keep all of these large Ziploc bags because then they're bigger than our 12 by 12. And when I get them, if you don't memory keep and you just want to buy a couple so you have the large 12 by 12 bags, it's a fabulous way to do your scrapbooking because you just slide pictures into it. Maybe sometime I'll do a little video on those because it's super quick. But what I do is I keep all of these, and they're really nice for these because it's so fragile. But I put the hard pieces, because you know some of our papers come with harder pieces of cardboard, and I put one set of designer series paper on this side, and then on the other side of the cardboard, not with this because I will eventually stick my pink ones in here, but I stick a different designer series paper, and then they're nice and kept in here. And as you cut your, you know, as I have the little pieces, that's where I pulled these out of, offcuts of the same designer series paper, then you just slide them back in here. So, you know, if you have all of your Petal Promenade on this side and you just get your little pieces, you just keep sliding them in the Ziploc bag. And then I have a piece of the piece that you cut off the cardboard, I just slide it in there. So I always know what it is and then what colors are in it. So that's a little storage tip for you, and it keeps all your scraps together. So this card isn't going to take very long. That's why I felt like I was okay to ramble on a bit and show you some of the other stuff. Then the sneak peek things that I'm going to use are, this is half of the Good Morning Magnolia. You can see it says 2 of 2. So I'm going to use just the words and this little decoration because the paper doesn't actually have magnolias in it, because last year that magnolias weren't such a trend. If you go to Home Goods or Pier 1 or really any of the home decorating stores right now, you see magnolias are everywhere. Last year when I pulled out my spring things this year, I realized that last year I did buy a couple of, you know, big, I decorate seasonally, so I had gotten big, just big single magnolias, and I think, you know, our friend Joanna Gaines has had something to do with the magnolia trend, but the paper doesn't have magnolias, so I'm going to use the saying that says, the journey of life is best shared with a friend. We'll get through this together. So it's a sympathy kind of card. You know, if you have somebody that's sick or somebody that has lost someone, you know, if you're just trying to say, thinking of you in more of a serious kind of way. So it's a sympathy kind of card, but not really necessarily a sympathy card. So again, it says the journey of life is best shared with a friend. We'll get through this together. So I'm going to use the park bench because it's kind of like, you know, sitting with your friend. And then the other sneak peek item I'm going to use is our new colored vellum, and it comes 12 by 12 to a sheet. So, you know, my giant Ziploc bags that I have hoarded because I do the pocket protector things that are 12 by 12. I really should do a video when I don't actually scrapbook. I do at least get all of our pictures slid into them, and I can't remember what the new album options are in the new catalog, so that will be an upcoming video. But at least I do get our pictures slid in there, so you know they're not, I do print our pictures. They're not just files in my phone, because you know, at least, you know, we might made fun of our mothers back in the day for having the pictures in shoe boxes, but now at least the pictures, I mean, back then you could get the pictures out when people came over. Now you have to pass your phone around. So at least I do print my pictures out, but then the page protectors, you can at least slide your best pictures in. So at least they're there. So even if they're not decorated or have anything written about them, at least they're slid into it. So the 12 by 12 vellum comes in, I think this is Blushing Bride. I'll have to look at the colors. I only just got my catalogs yesterday, so if you need a catalog, I have them. The girls coming to camp, my in-person girls always get theirs first. I like that to be a perk of actually being in my home and being a live customer. So those girls will get theirs this weekend, and then next week I will mail them out to everybody who has actually purchased from me already, because that's the next perk. And then if you need a catalog, I will be happy to send those to you, and that will go out the following week, because, you know, it takes me time to get them all together. So if you want one and you're in the US, just comment below, and then I will contact you. We'll figure out a way so you don't have to put your address out there on YouTube. Or you can go over to my website and join my email list. That's the easiest way, and then we can message and email each other without the whole world knowing your address. So it comes in Blushing Bride, So Saffron, and then a green. I'm not sure what the green is. Maybe a Granny Apple. It's a brightish green, but you know, sometimes the vellum changes the color of it. So let's make the card. It is super quick. This is very vanilla. So we're going to fold it in half. And then we're going to let all of the pretty elements do the work for us. So very vanilla, of course, is staying. These two are leaving. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in the middle. And then I'm just going to take the tiniest bit. I want to use, this is the annual catalog one that's retiring. And one side is very vanilla and one side is white. So I want to use the very vanilla. And then the tiniest little bit of adhesive that you can get just to hold this in place. So stick this in the center and just hold that there, like that. And then we're going to run this through the die cutting machine and get our bench. And the vellum cuts super easy. And this bench, I don't know, you know, I don't keep very many of my retired things at all, but I like this stamp set. Don't get me wrong, I really, really like it, but the benches in it, although the one is a stamped and then cut out, so I would have to keep them both if I love this bench. I like dies that are different. And this is definitely a different one. You know, sometimes I keep stamp sets for a couple of years. I'm going to use them. My daughter is also a demonstrator, and she actually is a demonstrator more because she makes and sells her cards. So sometimes we keep them for a while, and she uses them, and then eventually I'm like, yeah, I haven't used that for a while. And then I get rid of them. But here you can see the detail in the bench, and it does have, you know, raised up details, which is really pretty. So now that we've cut that, I'm going to use, next week if you come to my blog, I will have the 10 things that I will miss most. And this is retiring, and it has definitely seen better days. In fact, it's kind of, it looks like a dog got a hold of it, but it's just because it's been used so much at my camps and classes. It's called Softly Falling, and it gives the impression of rain or snow that's coming down. And I literally have used it a ton. But I am really going to miss it, especially when you do Christmas cards. But this time we're going to go for a rain effect. So you want it close to the top, because as it goes down, there gets to be less and less. So, you know, depending on how snowy or how rainy you want it, you kind of put it down, because down here there's hardly any dots. And so I want it to look like it's fairly rainy, because, you know, it's a little bit of a sympathy card. And the other thing it does is it helps smush our vellum to the, our detailed paper to the designer series paper. And it is not a super fat one, so you do need 2 of the holders. And you just roll those through, and it only needs to go once. And then here's a little tip or trick for you that you may not have done before. I want it to be raised up so you kind of get a window feel of it. See how pretty that is? Here's the other side, which this side does kind of look like it snowed. And the Stampin' Up is the top. So this way they come out. If you do it this way, it's not really wrong. The dots just go in. So we're going to pull this apart. I just wanted them to line up, but I didn't want it to be stuck there. So you just gently pull this up. And then you're going to take your tiny dimensionals, And you're going to take your snips and you're just going to make your own skinny strip, because the tiny dimensionals have a giant edge here where there's nothing cut out of it. So we're going to cut 4 of our own little sticky strips, because we want it to be raised up so it looks like it's kind of a window that you're looking through. That was why I went with this design. I cut it just enough. See, you can make it customized thickness for this, and you can get tons of it with the amount. Can you see how much you have here? And I've already made the one card, so this is the same one that I've used. And you don't want to get to the end of your mini dimensionals and just throw that out, because there's a ton of sticky on there. And you can just cut it too. If you get to the end and you're not doing something like this, just cut it into squares and use it that way. When you cut it this tiny, it does turn on it like kind of twist. So you have to make sure you have a sticky side. There we go. More. And then this one now is just about to the edges of where the tiny dimensionals are. Which, you know, the tiny dimensionals always look so tiny until you need them for something that's super tiny, and then you're like, oh, well, those aren't as tiny as I thought they were. And then you're cutting them in like in half and in quarters to make them fit. So it's all just a matter of perspective. Okay, so now just, and sometimes too, see, you have to be careful because there's not a whole lot of sticky until you press it down. So press them all nice and good, and then pull the backing on off just like you would a regular dimensional. One, two. One that's overhanging a little bit. 3 and 4. So I'm just going to snip this one right here. And then when you go back, just try to line up the dots back towards the center. And they don't have to be perfect, but you just kind of wanted the super amount of. So now see, it's raised up and it's attached well, and then this gives you a nice raised up look. Let's get all of my little stringy papers out of the way. Some dimensional backing that you can find laying on your floor, stuck to the bottom of your socks, in a new pattern. Not just little hexagons. Get those out of the way. Now let's stamp the inside of the card. We're getting close to done, and this is the beautiful little swirly thing that comes in the Good Morning Magnolia. This is Berry Burst, and it is one of our outgoing in colors. It always sounds funny when it's in out. So if you have the in color pad, you definitely need to get the refill. And you need to get it sooner rather than later, because like I said, the lemon lime twist is gone. The lemon lime twist paper is gone. Of course, by the time I tell you that, this could be gone as well. So act fast. The lemon lime twist was by far the most popular in color. It's Tranquil Tide. I'm not going to be able to remember. The Fresh Fig. Lemon lime twist. Berry Burst. I'm missing one. I don't remember what the other one is. I'm trying to see them stacked up together. It was a great group of in colors. So here's the inside, and you'll be able to get this stamp set starting in June. I think the catalog starts. I know it's always, if you're watching from another country, not the U.S., it seems like it's a funky day. but it's because we have Memorial Day here, so it's after our holiday. I mean, it just makes it, our weeks are a little funny. Same thing happens with the occasions. I mean, the holiday catalog, because it's after our Labor Day. So it just makes our end of summer, I mean, this is the start of summer, and then the other one's at the end of summer. And then this is Retiring, and it's Razzleberry. And so it's all like shades of, because this paper has so many pinks and oranges and yellows, so you can kind of make it work. So I'm just going to put it here and cut it just a little bit longer. And this ribbon has such pretty texture, and all the textures together on this card with the vellum and the detailed paper. It just is pretty. It's a comfort card. So flip it over and just be careful because you don't want to smash it. Just add some adhesive here. And then I just laid it so it goes around over the top of this bottom part, the bottom line, see? Here. And just pull it tight. And pull it around there. And then that's enough to hold it in place. And you just want to make sure then here on the bottom of your card that you're going to have enough adhesive right here. So make sure that there's adhesive that's going to hold it. If you go over to my website, it will have the some close-up pictures. And then just take one glue dot is all you need to hold your bench on. And I just kind of made it small right here in the center. Just kind of have the ribbon be your ground. And there you go. But that's plenty to hold it on there. If you're going to stick it in an envelope, you might get your snail or just a tiny bit of glue and glue these to it. But you know, vellum's tricky to get it to stick without see-through, and this is the glue dot's going to hold it on. So it'll be fine. You could stick another one right here. Let's do that. My other one just has one. This would be nice to send like with a simple bouquet of daisies or some really just simple carnations. Just a thinking of you kind of thing. There we go. But the glue dots, if you don't press hard, just don't press hard with them, because then it's the pressing hard with the vellum that makes it when you can see through. Let's add a glue dot to our ribbon too. Just right in the middle. But if you're giving it to a coworker or to a neighbor or to a friend where it's not going to go in an envelope, then you don't have to worry about this at all. If you're sticking it in an envelope, you just want to make sure that the sliding in and out. And another tip, slide it in this way so it goes in, so there's less of this part going in and out of the envelope. Get that back out. And there you go. There's lots of Retiring. Let's see, we've got this paper, the folder, the ribbon, the colors. But then we've got some new that you can look forward to in just a couple of weeks. And I do have some weekend specials. I have some specials. You know, the Big Shot is also leaving. We will have a new die cutting machine coming up in the near future, but it's not going to be released for a little bit. So if you have nothing, it's a great time to get it. And I have some specials on that. And then I will have some weekend specials, running specials on the weekends. I always have thank you gifts, but there's some bigger specials, and I will tell you, it's if you buy Retiring Last Chance merchandise that you get some credits for some purchases in June when the new stuff comes out. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope you don't miss getting anything that you want, because there's nothing worse than having to pay $20 for a refill for your in-color pad in 6 months when you realize that you have the pad and it's dried up, because that happens. So everybody have a great day. Bye.